What's up, guys? So today we're going to continue our series and we're going to attach the weapons to the hand. Okay, now in the previous video we only picked up the weapons into our inventory. Okay, and this one we're going to use the inventory to attach the specific weapon to the hand. Okay, so let's begin. The first things we need is to import the required macro libraries to cycle the weapons. So the link is in the description. You just right click the inventory folder, say show in Explorer, and then you can just move this file right here like this. And then if you go back to the engine on the inventory folder, it should be right here. Okay, now we can close this, and the next thing we're going to do is create our weapon blueprints. So right here we're going to create a new folder called weapon system, and we're going to drag the resources in the crosshair inside like this. Now you can open it up, and right here we're going to create a new blueprint class which will be an actor, and we can call it BP weapon. Okay, open it up, and right here we're going to do the same thing we did with our pickups. So we're basically going to update this blueprint values based on our weapons table. Okay, so right here we can add a skeletal mesh because we're going to need it. So skeletal mesh to show our weapon. Then we can add a new variable here which will be the weapon name. Okay, which will be a name. And basically what we want to do is every time this name changes, we want to update our blueprint. Okay, so right here we can set this variable to rep notify. Okay, and as you can see, this created a function right here, and basically every time this variable changes, this function will be called. Okay, and this will allow us to execute some code. So basically we want to update our values when the variable changes. So here we can create a new function called update values, and right here we're going to go to our table and update our skeletal mesh. So let's say get table row, this one, connect this here, select the weapon table, and the row name will be the weapon name. And from here we can say break to get the values. Now we need to load our soft reference, so load, and we need to cast it to its original type, which is a skeletal mesh. So here we need to say cast to skeletal mesh, this one. And now we can grab our skeletal mesh and say set skeletal mesh like this. Now we can connect this here, move this here, and connect the mesh to the mesh. So that's it. Basically this way we update our skeletal mesh from our table. Okay, now we can go to the replicated function and call the update values right here. Okay, and also we can go to the construction script and do the same thing. So right here we can call the update values. Okay, now that's it. Now we need to go to the event graph. We can delete this. So basically we need a way to know if the weapon was attached so that we can update our weapon name. Okay, so on the skeletal mesh we're going to add a new sphere collision, and we're going to add the component begin overlap event like we did on the pickups. And right here we're going to check again, does implement interface. We're going to select our BPI interact that we created. From here we're going to say branch, connect this here, and basically if it does implement the interface, we want to get the weapon name from our character so that we can update our blueprint. In order to do that, we need to create a new function in our blueprint interface. So let's go to contents, inventory, BPI interact, and create a new function here and call this get weapon name. Okay, this will only output a name, which will be the weapon name, and it will be a name. Okay, We can compile and save this, and that's it. Now from the other actor, we can now say get weapon name and call that function. So this way we will receive a weapon name which will allow us to set our variable. So we can get our variable and say set, and then connect this here, and that's it. So the player will tell us which weapon is his current weapon, and we're going to update our variable, and when that happens, this function will trigger and it will update our blueprint. Okay, that's basically it. Now the last thing we want to do here is just destroy this event because we don't need it anymore. So here we can say unbind from all events from actor begin overlap. Okay, that's it. Basically we're going to destroy this event. That's it. Our blueprint is ready. Now we need to go to our character and continue our logic. So we can close this. We can go to our third person character right here, and we were doing this pickup function where we gave the weapon to our player, right? Now we need to add some more things here so that we can attach the weapon to the hand. Okay, now the first thing we need to do is make sure that we equip that weapon on our inventory. So we can go to the weapons component here, right click, edit weapons component, so that we can go to it, and we had this give function. Now we need to create some new functions to cycle the weapons up and down, which will set our current weapon. Now right here we're going to add a new function called cycle up. We're going to get the weapons. We're going to say keys to get all the names from the list. And right here we're going to say get next array item. Okay, the macro that we imported. Now this current array item, we can promote it to a variable and call it active weapon, which will be our active weapon. And now we need to get our weapons and basically say find to find this next item that we are given here. Okay, now we can say branch, and if we do find it, then we want to set our active weapon like this to this next weapon that we found. Okay, and here we can say return node to end the process, and we can grab the values that we found and return them back to our player. Okay, now if we didn't find a weapon, then we can just copy this return nodes, paste it, and connect it here so that it could return the empty value. Okay, that's it. Now we have a function to cycle the weapons up. Now to cycle down, we can just duplicate this function and call it cycle down. Now we can just delete this macro, and instead of next, we're going to say previous to get the previous array item. Connect everything back like this one right here, and don't forget the active weapon. Okay, that's it. Basically now we should be able to cycle our weapons with these functions. Okay, we can close this, and on our pickup weapon, after we give the weapon to the player, we're going to cycle up. So we're going to get the weapons components and say cycle up. Okay, this way we will make sure that after we give the weapon to the player, we select that weapon. Okay, now we can break these values here, and as you can see, we have our current weapon values. Now the next thing we need to do is basically create a function to attach the weapon to the player. Okay, now the way that we are going to do this is by having a child actor on our mesh, and basically we're going to just switch its class constantly. Okay, we basically are going to attach that to our mesh, and we are only going to switch the class of that child actor. So right here we're going to add a new child actor, this one, and call it and object. Okay, now we need to create a function to attach the object to the hand. So right here, create a new function called attach to hand, Now this will receive three things. The first one will be our overlay state that we want to apply, which will be of type overlay states, the enumeration we created. It will also receive the actor BP, the actor blueprint that we want to apply the functionality, and this will be actor and soft class reference. Okay. Now the last thing will be a socket transform. So socket transform, which will be a transform, and basically we are going to adjust the weapon to the right position using this transformation. So this way we don't need to create special sockets in our skeleton. We just attach the end object to the right hand and then we adjust its position. Okay. Now the first thing we're going to do here is from the actor say is valid soft class reference. We can say branch here, and if it is, then we need to load our actor. So loads, okay, and cast it to its original type, which is actor. So here we need to say cast to actor class, okay. And then we're going to set this class to our end object. So we can get this end object and say set child actor class, connect this here, and connect the class right here. Okay. So this way, when we attach the weapon, we basically set the class to that end object. Now, the other thing we need to do is attach the end object to the right hand. So right here we can get the end object and we can say attach component to component. Okay, this one. Now the target will be the end object, yes, and the parent will be the mesh. Okay, just connect the mesh right there. Now we can move this here. Now the socket name will be the end R, okay, to the right hand, and we can set all of this to snap to target like this, and that's it. This should attach the weapon to the mesh. Now the next thing we want to do is basically apply this socket transformation. Okay, so right here we can get the end object again and say set relative transform, this one. Okay, connect this here, check this one if you want, and now the new transform will be get socket transform. We'll get the variable from the function inputs and move this right here, and that's it. So basically first we set the class, then we attach that object to the hand, and then we adjust its position. Okay, now the last thing we're going to do here is set our overlay states. So here we can say set overlay server, the functions we created before, and set overlay client. Okay, now we can connect this here, and from here we can say get overlay from the function inputs, paste this here, connect this here, and that's it. Okay, this way we should be able to set our overlay state as well. Now the last thing is when this class is not valid, okay, we want to get this thing here to set the child actor class and set it to nothing. Okay, and after that we want to skip all of these parts and jump into setting our overlay states. So we can just connect this here and double click this here to organize this, and that's it. So basically if the class is not valid, we just set it to nothing and we continue to set our overlay states, which will be nothing, and the default overlay state will be applied. Okay, now here we can say return node to end this process. That's it. Now we have a function to attach the weapon to the hand. So we can go to our pickup weapon function here. we can get the attach to hand function. And now we can connect all of this. And as you can see, we need these properties. So we do have the overlay, but we don't have these other properties yet. Okay, so we need to create it. So let's go to our contents, inventory, categories, weapons, weapon table. And as you can see, we have these properties. So we can go to the weapon struct right here. And we're going to add a new variable, which will be our actor BP, okay, which will be the same types. So actor soft class reference. Then we're going to add the socket transform, okay, and it will be a transform, and that's it. So we can save this, and if we go back to our table now, we should have these values here to set up, okay. Now the actor blueprints will be our BP weapon, okay, which will contain the functionality to shoot and all that shit. And basically the rifle will also be the BP weapon, okay, and that's it. Now we should be able to spawn this actor in our hand, okay. Now the socket transformations, I can show them, I can show you how I do them. So basically on the mesh, I'm going to go to the skeleton, and right here I normally create a debug sockets on the right hand so that I can preview my values. So if I go to the end right and say add preview, add sockets, this one, now I can select this socket and say add preview assets and put my pistol over there. Now I can go up here to preview animation and say ADS, so idle pistol ADS. And as you can see, we can stop this here, and we have the pistol on our hand, okay. Basically what I do is adjust this socket position to fit you know, the right position that you want, and then I just go to details over here. I copy these values, okay, the rotation and the location. Then I go to my weapons table, to the socket transform, and I paste them here, okay. Now I already have these values, so I'm going to leave them in the description as well. So for the pistol, I'm just going to get here and say paste like this. So I have these values right here. They are in the description. I'm going to copy this, go to the rifle, and again paste, and that's it. So now I should have the transformations correctly, okay. Now the last things we need to do is go to our character now that we have those values, and expand this here to access those properties, and connect the actor blueprint right here and the socket transform right here, okay. Now the last things we need to do is go to our get weapon name function, okay, and return our current weapon back to our blueprint. So we're going to get the weapons component and say active weapon to get the active weapon, and then we just return that back to our function, okay. That's it. So now we should be able to attach the hand, the objects to the hand, sorry. So if we test this out, as you can see, now I have this object. Now if I step on this one, as you can see, everything should be working, okay. Now one thing that you will want to do is go to the character and remove what we previously added on the aim function to set the overlay states. So these things are no longer needed. This was only for testing purposes. So we can delete them and connect this back and move this here, and that's it. So basically now the overlay state will be set based on the weapon that we have, and not by the aiming function, okay. So we can compile and save. And now if we hit play and pick up the pistol, we should be using this overlay state, as you can see. And if I pick up the rifle, I should be using the rifle overlay state. Okay, so that's basically it. This is how you can attach the weapons to the hand. Now, things that we can do also is cycle the weapons in your character. So we can go to the character and add two new keys here. For example, the wheel up, so mouse wheel up. Okay, and then we can get the actor components and say cycle up to cycle the weapon. Then we can get these values by breaking the structure again. Okay, and then we can just call the attach to hand function with these new values like this, hide unconnected. Okay, and that's it. So if we press play and now I pick up both weapons, as you can see, I should be able to cycle between them. Okay, now this is not replicated yet, so to replicate this cycle behavior, you need to basically add a custom event, which will be cycle up multi, which will be a multicast event. So set this to multicast. Okay, now this thing that we created here will be on the multicast. Now we're going to add another custom event, which will be cycle up server, and this will run on the server. And then this one will call the cycle multi, the multicast events, and our key press will call the server event. So cycle up server, and that's it. Now you just replicated this behavior. Okay, compile, save. If we hit play, and now as you can see, we can switch between the weapons. And I can also show you this with 3 players like this, and you will see that I can pick up this weapon. Everyone saw me picking up this weapon. I can pick up this one, and as you can see, my weapon switch to all of them. And if I use my overlay states, you can see that now I am switching between my weapons. Okay, so that's basically it, guys. This is how you can have this data-driven system. So I hope you liked it. I hope you learned something with it, and don't forget to subscribe.